What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Let's face it, war is not what it used to be. Gone are the days of tank brigades, mighty aircraft carriers, and cigar-chomping generals drawing arrows on the dusty maps. Today, the most decisive weapon in modern warfare is not made of steel or titanium, does not cost $3 million apiece, and does not need a trained pilot to steer it. It's just a glorified GoPro camera on a blender motor with a plastic shell of a conventional toaster. And it flies straight into someone's face. Welcome to the age of the drones. Cheap, deadly, and mass-producible. This is not the future of war. This is the war. And Ukraine just reimagined the modern warfare for the entire world. Who'd have thought that 20-something military in the world 3 years ago would just set the course for the most powerful armies, such as American, Chinese, and even Russian? And if you're still imagining soldiers ducking behind walls and shouting coordinates into radios to drone pilots, well, just you're decades too late, unfortunately. All it takes now is a laptop, a garage, a spool of wire, and a 3D printer, that's it. Sometimes even half of that, because Ukrainians are even using AI-controlled drones, which reduces human involvement and control to literally bare minimum. This war, the one in Ukraine, is no longer about military doctrine, air superiority, or even strategy in the traditional sense. It's about improvisation, creativity, and the sheer volume of small, buzzing nightmares that can overwhelm $1 billion radar systems. Ukraine figured out fast. Russia, lumbering behind with the Soviet dreams and Cold War fantasies, is now scrambling to catch up. And while both sides are churning out AI-driven killer toys by the thousands, the implications for the rest of us, well, they're just getting started. Because these drones will not stop once the war ends. They'll not just disappear. They will outlive every ceasefire, treaty, and summit. They will be the real legacy of this conflict. So guys, buckle in, because today we are exploring the tech that redefined the battlefield and is now quietly rewriting the rules of civilian life too. The first modern warfare revolution did not come from a missile or a jet. It came from a plastic drone dropping a grenade through a tank hatch with surgical precision and only a $300 price tag. At that moment, the entire military-industrial complex of the world got flipped on its head. The Pentagon could spend billions on stealth jets, Russia could replace Soviet decals on refurbished MiGs, but none of that mattered when a glorified toy could just take out both. And not just one, but hundreds, swarming like bees with explosives stuck inside their bellies. Ukraine understood this before anyone. The whole world watched them switch from begging for big weapons to manufacturing thousands of FPV drones per day. Think about it. 4,000 flying bombs made daily. At least this is what they report us as the official statistics. Could be way more. The sort of numbers that would make a Cold War era arms factory manager faint from joy. But it was not just about numbers. It was about adaptability. It was about survival. Because Ukraine could not just take a word for its allies and wait for the military equipment to arrive soon. It had to resist the invasion since day one and do it by all means possible. Take, for example, new Gogol-M, just one of Ukraine's Frankenstein flying monsters. A 6-meter wingspan, semi-autonomous guidance, and it literally bursts kamikaze drones mid-flight like some twisted sci-fi stork. That's right, an entire, almost autonomous drone carrier. Something what most of us would never even imagine existing 4 or 5 years ago. Yet, here we are. And here's the best part. This entire construction, including the drones it carries, costs about $10,000. That is less than what Russia spends per month on Simonyan's Botox. And it can blow up multi-million-dollar assets without even breaking a sweat. This is not just a tactical evolution. It's a full-blown industrial revolution in miniature. And it all starts not as a government lab, but in garages, basements, and improvised drone labs funded by crypto donations and Ukrainian grandmas. That's where the future of warfare lives now, in the garages and underground labs of civilians, not in military factories anymore. Sure, Russia did take a note about the effectiveness of the drones and started using them as well, but the adaptability still felt kinda reluctant, as many old-timer generals wanted to lead the war only the way they knew it, the way their grandfathers used to do it. Let's talk about how Russia adapts to rapidly changing modern drone warfare in our next chapter. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, Mother Russia has been dragged kicking and screaming into the drone age, not because it wanted to, but because it just had no choice. Traditional warfare failed, the glorious Russian tanks just became Swiss cheese, boats became submarines, the airfields became smoking craters. Every radar station from Belgrade to Crimea is now priority target. So, what do you do when your $5 million toys keep getting fried by $200 drones? You just copy the homework of your enemies, of course. Enter the V2U, Russia's answer to the drone arms race. It is fully visual, needs no satellite connection, and supposedly cannot be jumped thanks to its SIM card connectivity. Which is, by the way, hilarious because, considering the same government spent years outlawing SIM cards for anonymous users, and now they are putting them in highly secretive weapons, I guess. But V2U is not just a knockoff, it is the beginning of something worse. It is a swarm-ready, AI-capable, self-guided kamikaze platform. In short, it is a robot that sees, selects, and kills all on its own. No human needed. Think that's dystopian enough? Well, just think again, because this tech is not limited to the battlefield, and Russia knows it. With its obsession for internal enemies, imagine what happens when the Ministry of Internal Affairs gets a drone that can follow a target based on facial recognition, thermal signature, or simply just phone metadata. You don't need to send police to your door anymore, you just send a buzzing executioner from 300 kilometers away and your problem is gone. That's it, it's done. And nobody hears it coming until it's too late. Putin's wet dream now available in compact size. And then what about oligarchs and their other thugs who have connections to the government and military sector? They will be buying those things for themselves to eliminate competitors and just people who they just don't like. What stops them from doing it, right? They already have AKs, rifles, guns, entire arsenals, armored vehicles. Why won't they be then not able to buy then these drones as well? While Ukraine innovates heavily just to survive, Russia looks for other uses of this technology, including the internal one, like we just spoke. But what about the rest of the world now? How do they follow the example? Let's try to answer this question in our next chapter. This is not just a Russia-Ukraine thing anymore. The US, China, Iran, and half of NATO are now pouring billions into drone research and development, like it is the new space race. And they're not playing small. China just, for example, rolled out a mothership drone with a 6-ton payload and 6,000 kilometers range, capable of releasing 100 autonomous kamikaze drones mid-air. Just think about it. That's like a flying hive of death bees, each one independently choosing who to kill, how to do it, and when to do it. No pilot, no guilt, no hesitation. Nothing of these human emotions. But while the generals salivate over swarm tech and AI-assisted precision kills, the darker truth is lurking just behind the curtain. Because once you can mass-produce weapons that do not require human operation, there is nothing stopping criminals, terrorists, or even board-rich psychos from getting in on the action. These are not nuclear bombs that need uranium or secret labs. These are gadgets you can order off AliExpress and upgrade with open source software that's literally available if you just spend googling it for less than an hour. And every crazy rich person with twisted mind should have some people who know a thing or two about engineering and computer science. So reconstructing and reprogramming those things, or even building such drones from scratch, will not be an issue at all. The concept has already been created. The execution is up to whoever wants to try themselves in this industry. There are no guidelines, no instructions, just a vague understanding of what's good and what's not. But since when it stopped bad people from doing their evil stuff? We're potentially heading straight into an era where gangsters will fly murder of drones over city skylines, where a cult in rural Russia can 3D print guided missiles, where some guy who thinks his neighbor looked at him funny can now just launch and swarm from his shed. And don't even think about jamming them. These things are becoming smart enough to fly blind, reroute on the fly, and even call in reinforcements if they're about to be intercepted. They don't forget, they don't negotiate, and they definitely don't need a court order to ruin your day. and then try to prove who and when launched them. The evidence is destroyed and burned in the crash. There is no serial number, no paperwork, no nothing. That's the thing. Now let's zoom in from the apocalyptic rising of drone warfare to the battlefield that started it all. Because what happened recently is extremely important to discuss and provides massive logistical advantage to Ukraine. Because a couple days ago, Ukraine's special forces just pulled off a surgical strike on the Tendra Spit again. And no, this is not some beach resort in the Black Sea. It is a hostile strip of land near Crimea that Russia uses as a fortified radar and electronic warfare site. Used to, anyways. Because as of July 28th, Ukraine landed, destroyed everything, raised the flag, and sailed back home without a scratch. The destroyed list? Things like Zond EV system gone, Rosa radar blown to bits, Russian troops eliminated, and Ukrainian casualties? Zero. You know what made this possible? Speed, coordination, and boats funded by charity foundation. Not a government contract, not NATO logistics, just Ukrainian ingenuity and public crowdfunding, that's it. The kind of war effort that would make any Cold War general literally roll over in their graves. But here is where it gets extraordinary. These are not isolated incidents anymore. Ukraine has turned the entire Black Sea coastline into a testing lab for high-risk, high-reward operations. This was not even the first strike on this Tendra Spit. They hit it last August 2024 too. And this is when destroyed vehicles, fortifications of Russians. And what's worse for Russia is that they keep getting caught off guard. Because the moment they rebuild, Ukraine hits again, like clockwork. Each time they strike, it is not just about destroying a radar. It's about demonstrating how modern warfare favors mobility, surprise, and precision over numbers, budgets, or brute force. And each time Ukraine lands a blow, it sends a message to every defense ministry in the world: adapt or die. Drones, speedboats, AI, and daring raids are the new tanks, the new nukes, and the new sledgehammers on the world that runs on data and drones. Ukraine was the first one to understand this simple truth. Ukraine is the one to benefit the most from it. Well, there you have it, guys. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you want to support my work, the links down below. For example, my Patreon memberships is the best way to support what we do here on YouTube and what helps us to be independent. The link is down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims are resolve they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.